Hello class, this is Chris McMains. For the When I Say assignment, I chose Phenomenography. I chose it in part because it seemed poetically appropriate to be talking about phenomena on Halloween, but mostly because it was a topic that I knew precisely nothing about. In order to get at just what phenomenography is, it may be helpful to think about a seemingly insignificant example, a banana. On a regular basis, it's likely that we don't consider bananas in any detail beyond whether they're ripe enough to eat now or so ripe that they will have to be reincarnated as banana bread. What I'd like us to consider for a moment is the question, what does the process of getting a banana to a U.S. grocery store represent? For people who engage this process at different stages, they'll have different answers. For a field worker in a banana-producing nation, it may represent the only means of supporting his or her family. For a social activist, it may represent exploitation by an international conglomerate. For a produce department manager, it may represent a centerpiece of the fruit display. For a vaudevillian, it may represent the setup for the oldest sight gag in the business. I think you get the point. Depending on who someone is and how they engage a process, that process will represent something different to them. That idea in a nutshell is phenomenography. The main root word of phenomenography is phenomenon, which means to make manifest or to bring to light. That's a little different perspective than I generally think of, and even different from what John Travolta may think of. Phenomenography, then, is the study of how people experience and understand phenomena in the world around them. This approach was developed in the 1970s by Franz Marton from an empirical education framework. An important point is that the focus of study isn't the phenomenon itself. Rather, what's of specific interest is the variation in the ways that people understand that phenomenon. This is referred to as second-order perspective. We saw this in our banana example. It illustrates how very differently people understand the very same phenomenon. Similarly, we can all probably think of several examples in healthcare that lend themselves to this sort of difference. Interprofessional interactions are likely experienced very differently depending on where someone is in the hierarchy. The hospital discharge process is likely understood very differently from the perspective of the medical treating team, the floor nursing staff, the pharmacy staff, the patient, and the patient's family. Phenomenography would explore and describe these ways of understanding. The last step in this study is the internal relationships between or among these categories. Two qualitative research approaches that are closely linked to etymology are phenomenography and phenomenology. In order to understand this distinction, it's probably worth highlighting a few points. First, their origin stories are different. While phenomenography comes out of empirical education, phenomenology comes out of theoretical, philosophical tradition. This philosophical basis influences the goal and process of phenomenology. The goal is to uncover the essence or inner core of a phenomenon. The essence doesn't depend on the interpretation of an observer, but is present prior to any reflection on it by the observer. In this sense, the process is pre-reflective. It's also called first order. By contrast, phenomenography is concerned with the range of interpretations or understanding described by the observers. This requires reflection by the observers, thus it's described as reflective or second order. You may be asking yourself, so what? As it turns out, there's several specific applications of phenomenographic study within health professions. Gaining understanding about how all parties experience workflows makes phenomenography potentially powerful in process improvement efforts. Similarly, insights gained through this method can identify sources of friction in interprofessional care environments. These insights feed directly into the GME training competencies of communication and professionalism. In summary, phenomenography aims to explore the full range of how people experience different phenomena. This attention to individual experience makes it an especially powerful tool for identifying and understanding relationships among people's perspectives. Thank you for your attention and interest.